G'day. Today I thought I'd talk about a couple of reasons why I bought this boat, and I've had it for nearly on a year now, so just thought I'd have a bit of a chat about this boat, things I like about it, things I don't like about it, and would I buy another one. So to start off with, the boat is a 20-foot Barron Outrider fiberglass. Actually measures 6.5 meters if you add the pod in here. I moved up to this boat from regular viewers of my channel would remember my old boat. It was a 5.2 meter Fraser, a little bit smaller than this, but overall what I've gained with this boat is just bulk and weight. This thing is so much heavier than the old boat. It must be an extra ton at least on top of what the old boat weighed. Just gives it that extra weight and that extra kaboom through the chop. It doesn't get moved around as much in the chop, and she just smashes through it. So much better than what the old boat did. Oh, there's birds just going off over here. I'm just waiting for them to come in a casting range and I'll have a few flicks at them. So the reason I bought this boat, I was looking around at different boats and I'd sort of had a look at a couple of different ones, and I was leaning in one direction and then decided it wasn't that. Picking a boat's really hard. It's a really personal thing. What suits me, what suits you, what suits old mate next door here, they're all different things. What you want, what you think you want, what you need, what your wife will let you buy, they're all different things, all different variables. So you got to kind of do a lot of research, jump on a lot of boats, get in the yard, jump on them, have a walk around, imagine yourself fishing in them, and go from there and sort of just get a bit of a checklist of things that you want, things you like, things you don't like. What I really liked about this, I managed to go for a ride on one of them. Went for a run out to Rottnest one day, and I really love the weight of it, just the solidness, the bulk and the weight, and the bow at the front. The bow's got a really flared bow, really pronounced, and it cuts through the chop because it's kind of a fine entry, but then it hits that flare and it just throws the spray. So not much spray comes on board, it just throws it miles out to the side and keeps the boat reasonably dry and just basically smashes through the chop, which is perfect. The other thing I really liked about this boat was the transom. I've never been a big fan of pods, to be quite honest with you. I've always liked an outboard well, but this square transom here, where you've got a whole transom, you can get your knees into the corner, you can use the whole transom. Got handy little containers in here. I've got a life bait well here. I opted to have a door here, but you could have had another container here. I got the door here strictly so I could lean into it, lean into the corners. Good height gunwale the whole way around. Plenty of space, plenty of room to fish on. Most of the fishing we do is predominantly out the back of the boat, so this whole transom layout suited me fine. The bait table originally was a little bit higher and made this open up a whole way, but I actually wanted to drop down because I like to fish out the back, like I'm saying, and I wanted easier access to the back, so I actually dropped this down. It's made this a little bit more awkward than it could have been, but it was worth the trade-off to have the bait table lower. The pod, like I said, at first I wasn't a big fan of the pod, but since I've been using the boat for nearly a year now, I've actually come around to it and it's really quite good. It's awesome. I've got this big container at the side here to store stuff in, fenders, ropes, whatever you want. There's a ladder underneath here you can use, but basically just it's a good place to sit. You can sit here in the summertime with your feet dangling in the water like this. You can fish from here, you can just sit here and cool your feet. Same on the other side. It's just a really good thing, and the whole reason I liked an engine well was basically because it just gave you better access to the back of the boat. When you're fishing, if fish are going about the back of the boat, it gave you better access, but this pod really takes that away. If you're standing on the pod, like, you can easily get around the outboard or something. If a fish is going a bit crazy, it's only one step out, one step over and you're onto the pod, and then you got all this access around here. So it kind of negates the whole reason I didn't like pods in the first place, because it's really quite easy to access and get in and out. There's Lee just over there doing a bit of snorkeling. It's not a shark, if that's what you're thinking, behind me here. So yeah, the pod I've actually really come to like it, and the extra flotation that adds to the back of the boat is just phenomenal. When there's chop coming in the back of the boat or whatever, it's not sloshing up against the transom. Like, as you can see here, it's not super choppy, but none of it's even really looking like coming onto the pod. Just adds all that extra flotation at the back. When you power on, the boat is almost, you can see, I mean, I'm standing on one side here, but you can see it's only just sitting a little bit below the chine there. As soon as you put a little bit of power on, she just launches straight onto the plane. There's none of this nose high stuff trying to get her up on the plane. She just boom, and she's straight up and on, because all this flotation in the back just lifts up the back end and off you go perfectly. The Mercury outboard, one of the main reasons I was looking at a new boat was because I wanted a 4-stroke. I wanted to move up. If I'm 100% honest, I've always been a Yamaha fan, and I really did want a Yamaha, but when I bought this boat, it was all through the middle of COVID and things were hard to get hold of, and Alan from Big 5 Marine convinced me that Mercury was the way to go, and to this point I can't fault the Mercury. It's done everything flawlessly. It's never skipped a beat. It's economical. In fact, it's just getting more and more economical. The more I use it, the better it's getting. I'm getting like a 1.2, between 1.2 to 1.3 nautical miles per litre, sitting on a 22, 23 knots. Obviously I zip around a lot faster than that a lot of the time. I sit on about 28, 30 knots. It uses a bit more fuel at that sort of numbers, but at cruising speed around 22 knots, well over a nautical mile per litre, which is pretty economical for a boat this sort of size and this sort of weight. She cruises along. The Mercury, I think probably the only thing I can fault on the Mercury is there's a little bit of paint discoloration down around the skeg there. I don't know what's happened, whether it's just a bit of like a factory fault in the paint or something, but the colours just sort of faded a bit around the prop. I'm not going to lie, I have made contact with a bit of a rock once before, a couple of weeks back there. The first, I think it was the second time I took the boat out, I hit a cray pot. As I was heading out, I hit a cray pot, the float wrapped around and cracked a bit of the plastic around the leg. I was really upset at the time. It was just one of those things. You're going out and, you know, before the sun comes up in the dark, I hit a cray pot, it wrapped around, it snapped a bit of the plastic. It's only cosmetic, it's not a structural thing, so I'm not too fussed. Same with the skeg the other week. I went in, just pushed my luck. It was low tide, got a bit shallow. Luckily I was in neutral. I noticed that the water was really shallow, dropped it into neutral, and I was in the process of trimming the outboard up a little bit, and it just sort of made contact and just sort of ground across the top of a bit of a bommy. The wind blew us off, and then I was back into the deeper water, and I dropped the motor back down, and no harm done. Just a bit of a rough edge around there. I could probably file it off if I really wanted to, but I don't think it's making too much of a difference. The Mercury now is just coming into 200 hours. I've just clocked over 200. It's due for another service, but yeah, like I say, in the time I've had it, I can't fault the thing. It's never missed a beat. It's got ample power for this boat. I've driven this very boat with a 200 horsepower, and it was an absolute rocket ship, but the 150 I've got on here is more than ample for me. I'll get 38 knots out of it flat out, which is, you know, more than enough. The 200, as amazing as it was, I think it was probably unnecessary for me anyway. Some people like to fly around at warp speed. For me, it was unnecessary. The 150 is all I need, and I'm very happy with this 150 as it is. One of the other major selling points to me was this whole inside area here. As you can see, there's just plenty of space. You're in, you're out of the sun, you've got full protection from any weather, any rain. You can zip up, you don't cop any spray, you don't get sunburn, you don't get the wind. Just plenty of protection. It just makes life so much nicer when it's super hot, or in the winter when it's cold. You don't hesitate coming out because you know you're going to stay dry. You know you got somewhere out of the wind, and you'll come out when, if you had an open boat, you probably wouldn't. Oh my God, I just keep watching these birds over here. And as soon as Lee gets out of the water, I'm going over there to have a look, because something's definitely busting up. Needs investigating. So yeah, this cover was overall, yeah, an absolute must for me. I know a lot of people like open boats because they're easy to fish around, but myself, like I say, most of the fishing we do is out of the back of the boat, so the transom was amply good for my fishing, and have some shelter and so forth. I mean, these seats spin around and you can sit in the seat in the shade, out of the wind, and watch your rods as you're fishing out the back. Just super comfortable. And the rest, the stability at rest was another thing. Again, attributed to the pod, but also to the shape of the hull. She's a very beamy boat. We've got your full 2.4 across here, or 2.45 I think across, beamy wise. 3 people on one side. It's not even an issue. The boat just does not list. She is very stable at rest. It's just a wide chunk of a boat. I've spoken to a few people about it who have got different sort of boats, and I talk about this one as more like a, I'd call it more a block splitter than an axe. She's, you know, pointing at the front and then wide at the back, so it more cleaves its way through the swell than cuts its way, but it's got the weight and it's got the bulk to do that, so she'll just cleave its way through the chop. It'll sit on speeds, you know, quite comfortably, and you'll just punch your way back, and it's you know, you're dry, you're comfortable. The cabin, I wasn't necessarily looking for a huge cab, but it is always handy. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess in here. It's handy somewhere to put your bags, your fenders, whatever you want. I've got all my tackle in here, totally unorganized. I really got to do an organization on my tackle. I've got a couple of tackle drawers down here, one here and one in here. I'm not super happy with that setup. I am going to change this around, and down here I've got another hatch where I've got a lot of tackle stored in there. It's something I'm planning to do, is sort my tackle out and get that organised, because it's been a long time and I've just sort of been making do. I really just got to spend a couple of hours and get it organised properly, and buy a couple of decent tackle drawers with storage lockers to go in here, sort it out. The anchor winch was always something that I always wanted. We do a lot of anchoring, and I wanted a winch. That was just it was going to be a must for me. We got the Lone Star winch, which is a drum style winch. Again, I just can't fault it. The Lone Star has been just an absolute game changer. You don't think twice about moving spots. You don't think twice about anchoring in deep water. It's just amazing. You hit the button, up she comes. No arguing about it. And coupled with the boomer anchor I've got on the front there, it's just the ultimate combination for us for anchoring. Rocket launchers up here. If I'm honest, I could probably go with another layer of rocket launchers up here, probably, and I may do it later on. I'll fill it in and probably put some extra ones in here. And they kind of lean back a little bit far, so if you see here the way the rods are, they lean back into the cockpit quite a bit. There's been times that I've been fighting fish like this and I've made contact with the rods, or I've gone to do a big cast over the top and made contact with the rods across the top like that. So yeah, if I was to do it again, I'd probably get those rod holders maybe a little bit more vertical, so the rods are sort of up a bit more. But it's sort of a, you know, it's just one of those things you learn to work around it. Once you've done it once or twice, you go, okay, I won't do that again. Fuel, I've got 300 litres. I've got a 300 litre tank in the bottom here. 300 litres for me is ample. Well, that was a nice swell. Just go through there. 300 litres for us has been ample. An average trip that we do is probably 20 or 30 litres. So having 300 on board means I get a good couple of weeks of not having to worry about filling up, and I can wait for the fuel prices to go up and down and fuel up when the price is reasonable. So you know, if the fuel prices are high this week, I'm not too stressed, because I know I've got probably 200 litres still in there, and I'll just wait till they go back down again the next couple of weeks again. Although the way things have been lately, fuel prices haven't really been going back down. They've been going, certainly been going up, but down is not somewhere they've been going. But you know, that's fishing and that's the way it goes. The sounder, the Simrad, absolutely amazing piece of gear. That's just a GO12 Simrad. I'm just running the standard 3-in-1 transducer on the back of this boat. Most of what we do is inshore, and the 3-in-1 has been ample for what we do. I am going to get myself probably a 1 kilowatt transducer, like a 1 kilowatt through hole, a bit later on for when I'm doing some deeper stuff. More to the point, it'll just allow me to pick up bottom at higher speeds. But for now, the 3-in-1 has been absolutely spectacular. I have hardly even touched it. I've hardly even played around with it, and we've seen stuff that we've never seen before. I've hardly even played with a side scan. It's something that I've been meaning to do and just haven't got around to. Well, the wind's really swung around now. It feels like it's gone southwest.
Fucking hard.
Yeah. Got a little a fusion stereo here, only a couple of speakers. I haven't gone crazy on the stereo, but it's enough when you're cruising. You can have a bit of music when you're cruising along. Just adds life, makes life a lot more comfortable. I've got lights all through the boat. We got deck lights here that shine down to help us film. We got blue and white lights in the fire extinguisher, blue and white lights on the dash. In the cup holders, we got blue lights. There's lights everywhere. Lights are pretty handy. We do a lot of stuff in the dark at night, so it's good to be able to mix up different combinations of lights depending on what you're doing and how you want to set up on the day. Anyway, that's just a quick rundown on this boat. Would I buy another one? 100% I would. For me, yes. For other people, I don't know. If you're new to boating, I wouldn't recommend going out and buying yourself a brand new boat. Like I say, boats are one of those things. This is my 8th boat that I've owned, I think now, so I've worked out what it is I need and what works for me, and this boat works perfectly for me. As I said at the beginning, what works for you will be a totally different thing. I'd suggest maybe starting off with something small, get used to that, get on a ride on other people's boats, get on as many boats as you can. Other people's boats are the best. Get on them, go out with them, feel them out, imagine yourself with it, and yeah, work out what works for you, what doesn't, before you spend your hard-earned cash on buying a brand new boat like this. For me, I'm absolutely wrapped. I would buy another one of these tomorrow, but due to the build of this thing, and it's got no wood in it, it's all fiberglass. The motor, like I said, has only got 200 hours on it. I reckon I've got another 10 years of no worries with this boat anyway. I don't know, if the wife lets me, maybe a couple of years and we'll trade up from there. It's good to have dreams. But for now, I'm stoked with this boat. And yeah, I'm very happy with the purchase and glad that I went ahead with it. We're using the hell out of it, as you guys watch my videos can see. We're out a couple of times a week and we're absolutely loving it. I was just trolling along there with a Helco, what even is it? A trembler, baby trembler. I don't even know if Helco make those anymore. Just watch where we are because the wind's kind of hefty. Now it's blowing us that way.
Playing us into the reef.
It's a fish. Oh, hang on, it's just getting bigger.
Where are we blowing to?
I don't know. Oh, I'll just land it. It's just a king. It's a little king. Oh, now it's getting angry. Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Easy, tiger. Easy, easy, easy.
You can drop the anchor.
No, not here. Alright, let's just get out of here for now.
It's close to the reef. Gotta move.
Big time. Like on the reef. Yeah, he's only a little guy, but he had a go at that Helco trembler. Perfect little kingfish. Oh! Nearly got a hook in my fingers there, but that's all good. Not exactly the guy we're after, but beautiful little fish all the same. I'll get this out of him. Actually, I'm going to use my pliers because I don't want to hook in my hand. So stay tuned if you like our videos, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks everyone for watching.